This video might be a little late to some of you, but I wanted to address my thoughts on the whole Joey Swoll situation as someone like myself has been in the gym, in that whole atmosphere for a solid decade now. And if you're unfamiliar with this whole situation and scenario, just to give a bit of context, Joey Swoll, who's a big gym influencer, kind of like the Batman of calling out the problems in gym culture. He shared this picture of himself dressed as Hulk Hogan from a Halloween costume years ago. And it was a tribute to Hulk Hogan's passing, which happened the same week of Ozzy Osbourne's passing. And, some people were very quick to point out Hulk Hogan's controversial past, including offensive language, drawing offensive language with the hard R. And again, this was years ago, and it led to this huge wave of criticism, really aimed at Joey Swoll for doing this. And, obviously some people are questioning, his choice to honor Hulk Hogan in that way. And I think this whole situation brings up, a point about growing and changing as a person. Just like Joey himself, people might not be aware of this, but he openly shared his journey about 4 years ago, I believe, about overcoming addiction with opioids and painkillers and having, severe depression and on the verge of suicide. But the community was very supportive. Again, this is all happening during COVID and whatnot, so a lot of people had problems, but this, kind of stemmed before that as well. But there again, people were supportive because of what Joey meant to them and what he meant in the gym atmosphere and the gym life. And of course, again, people wanted to be there for him because, he's helped inspire other people. He's a family man. He's taking care of his parents and, tries to do the same for people whenever people meet him. He seems like a very humble guy. And I've never had the opportunity to meet him prior to this point, but I know people who know him and have always sort of spoken highly of him. Like, he's a good dude. And I think it's worth remembering that people can change over time. I mean, you yourself as a viewer might understand that people that in your life have changed. Maybe they were acting a certain way, did a certain thing, maybe used to live a certain life, and all of a sudden they've changed because they realize maybe the error in their ways. And I feel like if we can stand by someone, as they grow, we should be open to the ideas that others can too. Just like Hulk Hogan as an example, which I do think he has changed over the course of his, youngish life. I think it's worth remembering too that, we can't be defined solely based on our past, because if, we recognize the things that I've done in my past or that you've done in your past or that other people that we might look up to in their past, they've probably done some things and probably have said some things that you might think, what? I don't know why I support this person, or why do I support myself? Do I like who I was at that point in time? No, you don't. So what do? You change, whether you stand by yourself or you have people that do the same, or you encourage others to change to be better. And I feel like just like for Joey Swoll, who overcame his problems, his issues, and, received his support, I feel like he should have offered the same and understood the same from Hulk Hogan's perspective. And it doesn't happen in a day or a week or a month or just even 1 year. Because again, Joey Swoll it took him years to overcome these issues, these challenges. So if you were a big Hulk Hogan fan and knew enough about Hulk Hogan, maybe he should have realized that he did change in the tail end of his life, or maybe the last chapter of his life. And I don't know if people know this, but he dedicated his life to Jesus Christ. He was saved, he was baptized. And again, regardless of whether you not believe in Jesus or Christianity or religion itself, Hulk Hogan stated that he wished he had done this sooner because he noticed how it changed himself from within. I saw some videos of him at children's hospitals and praying with kids. I mean, whether you believe it or not, people looked up to him for that. People believed in him, and that actually brightened their day. So if you're going to take that away from someone, then you should probably look at yourself in the mirror and going, what the hell am I doing? Again, this is where Joey Swoll could have noticed these things and not been ashamed to pay a tribute like he did on social media, because at the end of the day, who gives a shit? He's not trying to impress anyone. He's already made a name for himself. He's already got sponsors, and he's already got a good following, and the people that have supported him through the years will continue to do so. And the interesting point is that Joey Swoll has asked people to remember the good that he has done for the gym culture, defending men from female thirst traps, or the toxic gym culture with people taking videos or pictures in the locker room when they shouldn't. That's against the rules. I mean, he's gotten plenty of people, expelled from gyms, that had their memberships revoked, and for good measure as well. And I appreciate that as someone who goes to the gym, who goes in the locker room, and obviously, goes in the sauna and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to see that stuff either. And I'm respectful, and everyone should be, because it's a public place. You want to work at a private gym? Go find a private gym or go build your own in the garage or something like that. And the problem is that he never should have bent the knee in the first place. It felt very out of character for him, as if someone was talking in his ear, telling him, hey, Joey, you need to make an apology video for what you said, about talking about a person of colors, or, saying these things, not wanting to offend anyone. It's all just a lot of fluff. I don't know if it was someone from a sponsor or a follower or someone from his family. And again, he made that choice because he felt a certain way about it. But I think in the end, when he makes another video saying that, oh, I wish there was someone who could, keep defending, what's right in the gym and what needs to be removed from the gym, and obviously comes back making a video within a week about it, it's very controversial. And I think, unfortunately for him, some will have forgiven him for what he did, but most won't forget. And a lot of people have lost faith in him for what he actually stands for. Like, I think, people look at him and go, your integrity has dropped, my dude. You're not as tenacious as we thought you were. And I think the people that were probably bitching and complaining at him and attacking him on social media were people that have probably never watched wrestling, don't really know anything about Hulk Hogan, and just try to find the most toxic research they probably could from years past, because that's what these people do. They have to dig up past online. And, they've probably never been in the gym. They probably never lifted a weight. They probably, have an egregious amount of body fat, and they probably eat like shit. And they probably wish that they looked like Joey Swoll or something like of a more natural definition. But I think Joey should have held strong, been tenacious, shown confidence that Hogan made one of the biggest impacts he could in wrestling and in people's lives by doing what mattered most, and that is changing, growing on a continuous journey to be better. And much like Joey says, you need to do better, right? Well, maybe that's what Hulk Hogan did. Maybe that's something Joey Swoll needs to understand as well, which I'm probably sure he did, because in his last video, he said a lot of people said, don't quit, man up, and get back on the horse. And that's what he's doing. Obviously, he's making more videos, as none of this have ever happened. But the fact is, it did. And the fact is, people don't forget about these things because the internet is mostly eternal until maybe it just ends at some point in time. But how is it really affecting everyone? I think in the terms of continuing to get the people that need to be out of the gyms with recording and just, toxic culture, yes, someone needs to do that, whether it's him or whether it's someone else. I think that needs to happen. But, even if it was someone like myself to do that, I don't have that sort of reach that Joey Swoll does, which is why it was a perfect scenario for him to be that signal in the sky that, people often refer to him as like the Batman of, gym culture. And it was kind of funny and it was kind of good at the same time, but I feel like that symbol has now been dismantled. As he stated, you live long enough to see yourself as the villain, which has kind of happened, but that's all because he bent the knee, which again, he never should have done in the first place. He should have held strong and just should have said something like, hey, if you're offended by this, that's on you. I'm going to stand by my post because I saw value in Hulk Hogan. I know the value that he provided to millions of people, especially at the tail end of his life when he realized they erred in his ways. He asked for forgiveness. And again, for Hulk Hogan, he's not trying to impress anyone. The only person that mattered to him was God above, as he was saved and gave his life to Christ. Because in the end, again, if you believe in religion, he doesn't really care about what's happening here on earth because the afterlife is more important. And again, I feel like that's something Joey should have maybe appreciated or maybe thought of as well. And look, I don't know if Joey is religious or not, but again, if you're not, that's fine. And if he's not, he could have just said, you know what, I respect that. And I stand by my post and just would have left it up. But here we are. And, if you have any thoughts about it, drop them below. Again, I didn't want to just, completely tear Joey apart because I feel like that's already been done. But, again, I wanted to provide some middle ground context and, talk about the things that are important, that everyone can change, everyone can grow, everyone can find redemption. It's just a matter of you actually finding the contribution to be able to do it within yourself, to be better, right? To aspire to be better and to inspire others, which again is kind of what being masculine is all about, which I feel like Joey did to a certain extent, but this obviously recanted some of that masculinity. We'll see if people can, fully forgive him and, see what he can do moving forward. Again, if you're done with Joey Swoll, I totally understand it. And that's kind of where I'm at as well, unfortunately. But, that'll do it for this video. I don't want to just ramble on forever. So I appreciate if you've made it this far. Let me know your thoughts about this. Let me know if you appreciate what I had to say. I kind of just, had some notes jotted down and kind of went on a whim about what I know about Joey Swoll. And again, I think he's done some good in his past. And I hope he can find a way to contribute to the gym culture and, keep it safe. But if it's not him, someone needs to do it. I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.